Her Majesty's Naval Base, Clyde is one of 3 operating bases in the United Kingdom for the Royal Navy. It is the service's headquarters in Scotland and is best known as the home of Britain's nuclear weapons, in the form of nuclear submarines armed with Trident missiles. HMNB Clyde lies on the eastern shore of Gare Loch in Argyll and Bute, to the north of the Firth of Clyde and 25 mi west of Glasgow. The submarine base encompasses a number of separate sites, the primary 2 being, Fosslin, 25 miles from Glasgow. RNAD Coulport, beside Loch Long, 2 mi west of Fosslin. Fosslin is also a defence equipment and support site, operated in dual-site organisation with Great Harbour, Greenock, by Babcock Marine and Technology, and managed by Serco Denholm. Fosslin Naval Base. Fosslin Naval Base, situated on the Gare Loch, and the Iran Armaments Depot Coulport on Loch Long, are the primary components of HMNB Clyde. The naval shore establishment at Fosslin is HMS Neptune. Naval personnel appointed to the base who do not belong to a seagoing vessel make up ship's company. Both the Gare Loch and Loch Long are sea locks extending northwards from the Firth of Clyde. The base serves as home base to Britain's fleet of Vanguard-class nuclear-powered and nuclear-armed submarines, as well as conventionally armed nuclear-powered submarines, supported by the Fleet Protection Group Royal Marines. In command of HMNB Clyde is the Naval Base Commander, Commodore C.J. Hockley, who succeeded Commodore Carolyn State in autumn 2007. The base is home to a number of lodger units including Flag Officer Scotland, Northern England and Northern Ireland, the Northern Diving Group and the Scottish headquarters of the Ministry of Defence Police and Guarding Agency. It is based at 3,000 service personnel, 800 of their families and 4,000 civilian workers, largely from Babcock Marine, forming a major part of the economy of Argyll and Bute and West Dunbartonshire. Fosslin was first constructed and used as a base in World War II. During the 1960s, the British government began negotiating the Polaris sales agreement with the United States regarding the purchase of a Polaris missile system to fire British-built nuclear weapons from 5 specially constructed submarines. In the end, only 4 were constructed. HMSA Resolution, HMSA Repulse, HMSA Renown and HMSA Revenge. These 4 submarines were permanently based at Fosslin. Fosslin itself was chosen to host these vessels at the height of the Cold War because of its geographic position, which forms a bastion on the relatively secluded but deep and easily navigable Gare Loch and Firth of Clyde on the west coast of Scotland. This position provides for rapid and stealthy access through the North Channel to the submarine patrolling areas in the North Atlantic, through the GI-UK Gap to the Norwegian Sea. At the time it was chosen, the location was also close to the American SSBN base at Holy Loch, which operated 1961 to 1992. 1 boat was always on patrol at any given time. In times of political instability, sometimes 2 boats would be deployed at sea. In 1971 the base was home to the 3rd Submarine Squadron of Nuclear Fleet and Diesel Patrol Submarines, a Euro-OEV fighters a Euro, and the 10th Submarine Squadron consisting of the 4 Polaris submarines, a Euro-OEV Beaumerce Euro. The base also conducted the training of all submarines before they joined their squadrons, and this was known as a Euro Workup, a Euro unregistered trademark. Fosslin Flotilla, Vanguard-class SSBNs. In the 1980s, the British government announced plans to replace the Resolution-class submarines carrying UGM-27 Polaris with a newly developed Trident missile system on the new Vanguard-class submarines, also to be based at Fosslin. These submarines were named HMSA Vanguard, HMSA Victorious, HMSA Vigilant, HMSA Vengeance, Astute-class SSNs. HMSA Astute arrived at home port, Fosslin, for the first time on November 20, 2009. Fosslin will be home port to the Astute-class submarines for the foreseeable future. Astute is the lead ship of her class of nuclear-powered fleet submarines. Commissioned in August 2010, Astute is one of the most advanced submarines in the world. Other vessels, also based there, are the Sandown-class minnow hunters of the 1st Mine Countermeasures Squadron. The patrol vessels of the Northern Ireland Squadron were based at Foslin from 1993 until the squadron was decommissioned in July 2005. The armed patrol vessels HMS Tracker and HMS Raider are now stationed at HMNB Clyde, where they make up the Foslin Patrol Boat Squadron, providing maritime force protection for high-value shipping in the Firth of Clyde. HMS Pursuer is also stationed at the base, but is a University Royal Naval Unit craft. Safety and accidents at Foslin. Exercise Evening Star is the annual test of the emergency response routines to a nuclear weapon accident at Foslin. It is conducted by the Office for Nuclear Regulation. In 2011 the test failed as a number of command and control aspects of the exercise were not considered to have been adequately demonstrated. Anti-nuclear demonstrations. Given the presence of these nuclear-capable missiles, Foslin has attracted demonstrations by Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament and other Scottish pressure groups, including Trident Ploughshares. A permanent peace camp is outside the base gates, where there are frequent demonstrations. The presence of Foslin is also an issue in Scottish politics. The Scottish National Party, the Scottish Socialist Party, and the Scottish Green Party all oppose the deployment of nuclear weapons, although the Scottish National Party have made assurances that they would retain the base for the servicing of conventionally armed and conventionally powered naval units. It is not unusual for members of these parties, and indeed some from the Labour Party, to be present. Also, some independents, such as George Galloway, attend rallies outside Foslin. Such events aim to keep the base closed for as long as possible by preventing its staff from arriving for work, and usually involve large numbers of protesters being arrested for non-violent civil disobedience. Big Blockades. The Big Blockade at Foslin Naval Base is an annual event held since 1999, usually in the second week of February, aiming to close the base for 24 hours. The event attracts thousands of peace activists and has on occasion resulted in more than 350 arrests. Foslin 365. The Foslin 365 campaign was a one-year protest at the base. It was a civil resistance initiative to apply critical public pressure for the disarmament of Britain's nuclear weapons. The campaign was launched in September 2006 with the first protest action commencing on October 1, 2006, carried out by a campaigning group of women associated with protests at Greenham Common. It formally ended with a big blockade on October 1, 2007. However, groups are continuing to take direct action at both Foslin and Coulport. 131 blockading groups took part in Foslin 365 and 1150 arrests were made. RNAD Coulport. The Royal Naval Armaments Depot at Coulport, Loch Long, is the other major part of HMNB Clyde. RNAD Coulport stores conventional armaments for Royal Navy vessels but is best known for its role in the Trident missile system. Nuclear weapon storage bunkers have been excavated from a ridge. British-designed and built nuclear warheads can be fitted to Trident missiles. The United Kingdom has ownership rights to 58 missiles from a pool shared with the U.S. Navy. Whole missiles can be lifted out of or into a submarine, but the missiles are normally serviced at the U.S. Navy facility at Naval Submarine Base Kings Bay in the U.S. state of Georgia. Initial construction took place between 1963, when Foslin was chosen as the new Polaris base, and 1968, when the first Polaris boat began its patrol. Safety considerations required that the armament maintenance and storage facility have its own berth and be at least 4,400 feet from the main facility, whilst operational considerations dictated that the two facilities should be within an hour's sailing time. Coulport, on the opposite peninsula, met both of these requirements. Additional construction took place during the 1980s to support the Trident missile program. Notes and references. External links: HMNB Clyde webpage, Kings Bay Trident refit facility, The Guardian, April 27, 2009, Mod guilty of repeated nuclear safety breaches.